Hi, my name is Susan Weimer, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am here with my sweet Petunia, and we are doing a block hop and a giveaway from Chatterbox and Suzy stamps. And this is the card we're going to make, Have Guts Enough to Swim with the Sharks. I thought of the card during Shark Week, so I picked out some sea-themed stamps. These are, mounted red rubber stamps. And they are beautiful. I've forgotten what a joy it is to work with mounted red rubber. It's just truly a pleasure. And having the Misti does make it a lot easier. So we're using Trigger the Seahorse, Lloyd the Scuba Diver, and then Jaws, and Have Guts to Swim Enough with the Sharks. And if you'll see here that I've got blue Copic markers out, you might be wondering why I had them out when we're doing ink smushing. That's because this is the third iteration of this card. Yeah, it was a day in the craft room that I think because I waited till the last minute, the weather is, oh, guess what it's doing? Thundering here. So I'm just doing some ink smooshing. I'm not going to show the whole thing because we all pretty much know how to do that. I'm using some Ranger watercolor paper. I don't use my really super expensive watercolor papers for this because it just doesn't seem necessary. But anyway, basically, ink smooshing involves applying a wet ink, drying it, and then essentially glazing over it with another wet ink so that the colors stay true to themselves, but layer over one another, making an interesting effect. And I'm just using an Avriel stamp storage pocket to do my smooshing with. And the results are different every single time. I think that was Salty Ocean, or it could have been Cracked Pistachio. But anyway, they're listed in the supplies below. And so this is just real super easy, super quick. And it served its purposes for me. And when I was all finished, I put on a fine spray of shimmer mist on it to sort of tone it down a little bit and give it a little bit of a sheen. And I just wanted it to sparkle. So I did have tried going out today during the rain to see if I could capture the frogs quacking. But I could not. Every time they must have heard me coming or saw me. I don't know. They stopped. But also that there seem to be far fewer of them. And this has me concerned because the last time we had far fewer frogs, lizards, those other kinds of things that live here, it was because we had a snake in the perimeter drain that goes around the pool. And that was scary. My husband thought it wasn't a poisonous one. And so eventually it went away. And that's a long story for another day, but I'm going to give this card to my neighbor because she has taught me so much about the wildlife here in Florida, about the quacking frogs, the screech owl. First time woke me up, my husband was away and I texted her, like, oh my God, did you hear that blood-curdling scream in the middle of the night? She said, it's just the screech owls. Go watch my cousin Vinny. If I've already told you this story, I'm sorry. But anyway, there's a clip on YouTube from my cousin Vinny when the screech owl howls and he tries to shoot it. And anyway, so yesterday, and what I'm doing right now is just positioning these on my mini Misti so that I can stamp them. And like I said, first time down, super clean stamp. Just beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? The things we get so excited about. And I usually just wipe my stamps off with the baby wipe and then dry them off. If they need a super duper clean, I will, after I'm done making whatever I'm making, I will go through and give them a spritz with the Hero Arts Ultra Clean and clean them up the traditional way with a scrubby thing. So anyway, what was I saying? So it's thundering while we're doing this, and I'm worried that we're going to lose power. But meanwhile, yesterday, swimming with sharks. So yesterday I was out running errands, And my good friend from across the street called and she said, "Are you home right now?" I said, "No." And you know when somebody says to you, "Are you home right now?" that there's something wrong, because she's usually very cheerful. So now we're going to go. I should stop. We're going to color the seahorses. Now, I Googled seahorses, and they come in such a wide variety of colors, and they can be multicolored. So I decided to go with purple and yellow because I like those two colors together. And it fit in with the card. I do wish that I had used lighter shades of the violet. So this is V06. I think I should have probably used V00, V01, and V04. Then they would have popped off of my image a little bit, my background a little bit better. But anyway, I just didn't have time to redo them. And I can always make another card because I have the stamps. So anyway, this little seahorse is so cute. And we're going to color the main body with the violets, because I actually did see a violet colored one, and it wasn't a cartoon image, it was a real one. And so I'm just going back in with the V01 to blend it all out. And then what I'm going to do is make the tiny little black dots darker in her eyes. And then I'm going to color around them to give a colored iris to make the eye pop more. I learned that from Jane Allen. Jane's Box of Colors, I think, is her blog. She taught a class at a local stamp store, and that was one of the things she does to make her eyes pop. Anyway, I just sprayed some sheer shimmer mist onto the card back, and oh yeah, I left that in. Great. So I don't know what to color my little girl dive, and this is a girl. So anyway, she adds an iris, which is the colored part of your eye, to usually to all of her critters, to just make the eyes pop. And I think that's a really cool idea. So I did it with Trigger, and I'm going to do it with Lloyd, but it's not really Lloyd, because let's color Linda, the diver, because it's going to be she. It was going to be a guy until yesterday. So my neighbor called, and I said, "Well, what's the matter?" And I knew something was wrong. She said, "There's a snake in my pool, and I think it's poisonous. Can you come over and help me kill it?" Sure, I'll call you when I get home. I'm from Boston. I've never killed a snake. She's explained the whole snake killing process to me before, and how to identify poisonous from non-poisonous. I've studied up on my Florida snake identification, because you don't want to kill a non-venomous snake, because they actually help you out by eating things that you don't want. So anyway, but she sent me a picture, and you could see that this one had the triangular head, and it was probably a water moccasin. So I get home from running errands, and I've colored in her face with E00, E00, E11, and some R20. And then I darkened in her pupils all the way, because she's like cross-eyed when you look at her. And then I gave her blue eyes. Here I'm picking out the blue. I think it was I don't know what that is, B01. And then I gave her eyelashes with my white fine tip Sharpie. Because, you wear your makeup when you go diving, right? So here's where I think I should have made a better choice. I decided to color her scuba gear suit, wetsuit, that's what it's called, wetsuit, with the warm grays. I probably should have stuck with the cool grays, or gone for a shade of blue, or just like totally hauled out the pinks, which you'll see me do in just a little bit. I think she would have popped, or yellow would have looked fantastic, I think, on this background, and really popped up against it. So if I do this over again and have to make another one, well, I want to make another one, I'm going to do her differently. And now there are even, some of the dive suits are more like camouflage-y like things. So if I can figure out how to do that with my Copics, then I'm going to try that. But anyhow, so we did not have dive gear to get to my neighbor's pool with the poisonous snake. And it was a juvenile, a very little tiny one. So we scooped it out with a net. I know, put it in the comments. It's okay. I know you're not supposed to really do that, but we did. And I flipped it over, and she took care of the rest of it. And we felt very brave and really glad that we'd gotten it out of the pool, because she has 2 dogs, and one of them's already been bitten once before by a moccasin, because they're all over here. And wish they put these things in the real estate things. This neighborhood is full of, besides, the beautiful trees and everything else that's around here, snakes, owls, all kinds of things, the wild hogs. Anyway, so I felt very proud of myself, and I thought we had completely solved the problem. And we went out, met up with some girlfriends, and then I came home, and she had gone in her house and dropped me off, texted me, and she said, Big Mama showed up on the pool deck. That's the lanai. It was huge. A huge snake. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, her husband dealt with this one. I actually want a gun now, and I normally wouldn't ever admit that. And I know somebody might get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. This thing was huge, and it's late at night, and I think it was like 10 o'clock. You're not going to get somebody to come out here, and you've got to deal with it, because at that point, you know its location, and if you walk away from it, you've lost sight of it. And again, if you have dogs or children, it slithered away to you don't know where. So anyway, that was our excitement. And even though this is Jaws, not a snake, I'm going to mail this card to her. Yes, she only lives across the street, but I just think it would be kind of funny. I think she'll laugh. So anyway, I'm using the blue BG7s to color this Jaws, because sharks are kind of a blue-gray, and this is the closest to the blue-grays that I could come, and then I do add in some C3, I think. Thinking about it now, I wish I had done some tip-to-tip blending with the C's and the BG7s. I think it would have just come out better. But it's fine. It came out fine the way it was. And then this is where I'm going in with a little bit of gray just to blend it out. And then I'm just going to fix its eye. I end up adding a googly eye to it. So anyway, this is Jaws. Oh, and the reason why I have Jaws coming up from the ocean is because in Shark Week, they demonstrated that a great white shark can come up from, I think it was like 300 or 400 feet to grab its prey. Even though I know this is the image of Jaws from the movie, where it's breaching out off the top of the ocean to go eat one of the boats or surfboarder, or that movie was so scary. I didn't sleep for days. I don't know why my mother let me go watch it, but I can't even watch it now. My kids think it's silly because they're like, Mom, like, there's nothing scary about this. But for me back then, those graphics were intense. And I lived in Massachusetts, 4 miles from the ocean, so we were always at the beach, and we used to go to the Cape all the time. So yeah. So now I fussy cut them out, and I'm just giving the edges the Kathy Rakosin treatment with my black Memento marker. Sorry, I went off camera over there. And, I just realized I'm going to add a detail to this card. That's what she needs. She needs some glossy accents on her mask. I've been looking at this card while I'm sitting here going, there's something missing. But, my brain. But I think that'll do. I think if I put glossy accents, it'll look like a mask. Anyhow, she's actually in snuba gear. So there would be a boat above the surface, but that was another thing. I couldn't quite work out how to draw a boat, and I didn't have one that was the right dimensions that would look good. I don't know. I have 50 million excuses for why this was a thing for me, but it was. So I'm adding little white dots, and I put some polka dots on her boots because why not? And like I said, I'm kind of wishing I had left her a color because my friend Lynn is always dressed so beautifully and colorfully with florals and other things. I really should have done this differently. Anyway, so I'm going to mount the stamp here, and I'm using a sketch. Let me just, let's see, find the name of that sketch. Challenge Freshly Made Sketches. And there was a sketch from sketch number 349 from last week that has like a strip sentiment going across the bottom, and I've just moved it to the top because I was trying to figure out some way to lay it out. So I'm going to put a googly eye on Jaws because I didn't want it to be completely mean, and we bother them, and I don't know, I felt like being nice to the shark. So I put the little googly eye, and she'll think that's hysterical anyway on there. And did I mention I sprayed shimmer spray all over the background? So now I'm going to mount everything with my Scotch foam mounting tape. And here comes a blooper. I'm sure you've never made this mistake. I mean, I can't get this on straight. I don't know why. Every time I put it on, I see another mistake. So then I remember that Kathy Zilski had in a video where she put her card into the Misti and then lined everything up that way using the square edges of the Misti. All well and fine. So we're going to just pop up the sentiment strip. I'm going to I'm going to pop her up, but I'm not going to pop up the little snuba tube. So I'm just going to get enough foam tape on there. Oh, I found my foam dots. My room is getting reorganized this weekend, theoretically. But anyway, and there's Trigger looking down. And Trigger's a girl, so we could call her Triggerette. And I just put her just a little bit above onto the sentiment strip. And then here's Jaws. And Jaws, like I said, I think I've already told you, on Shark Week, they showed Jaws coming up from the deep and never really leaving the water or breaching out of it anyhow. So I'm just going to cut off the pieces. And, isn't that just great? I have put it on upside down in the Misti. I can't believe I did that. I guess I can. I've done it so many times. It's a shocker. You haven't seen this before. So I'm just going to take some clear wink Estella and sparkle her up. And like I said, I think after I'm finished with this, I will go and add some glassy accents to the mask. And then I'm just trying to put in some drop shadows so that they pop a little bit more. And I just used a C3, I think. And it just really faded nicely into the Distress Oxide background. And then I don't think they can pick up Distress Oxides, but I always wipe my nib off after I'm done doing that. I do always have spare nibs. I always have had them. I have a few, I should say. So I'm ready to swap them out if I make a mistake or do something. Or I did smush one really bad once when I was first learning. So anyway, I'm using some Pretty Pink Posh. Sorry about all the ums. Pretty Pink Posh clear droplets to make pretend water bubbles. So that was the thing about doing the Copic background. I could make baubles, and then with this, I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, and I really didn't want to cut out those tiny weeny little circles. But now that my brain's waking up at 9 o'clock at night, I can think of some other ways. But I also gave Jaws some bubbles, and it gave Trigger some bubbles. And that's pretty much the card. Thank you for being here. Please hit thumbs up if you liked the video, and I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. That really helps me a lot. But most importantly, please leave a comment on my blog, and also go along to the rest of the vlog, because there are 2 prizes. One is a $50 gift certificate to Sew Suzy, and if you love cute stamps, sarcastic stamps, snarky stamps, witty stamps, they have it. So you're going to really like that gift. And there's also a $50 gift certificate to My Sweet Petunia. And I always think it's wonderful to have more than one Misti. So anyway, hop along. Comments are open until I think it's August 24th. And again, thank you. Please subscribe to my blog, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.